What's the most unexpected thing you can find in a storage locker? If you said bones, blood, and more bones, you'd be right. Here's what Storage Wars dug up in these impromptu mausoleums. Abandoned storage units seem to be no stranger to skeletal remains. In one of just many strange finds, we turn to the Season 5 episode The Return of the King of Montebello. In this episode, Brandy Passante, Jared Schultz, and their team crack open one of their many purchased lockers. Inside is a couch, an old lamp, a raft with oars, some burned corn on the cob, and what seems to be a box of occult objects.
What is this?
Some weird voodoo stuff.
The magical find in question was dubbed the Voodoo Box, which is likely an insult to actual practitioners of the voodoo religion. There's some kind of small antlered skull, a bag of chicken bones, a rattle, a totem with chicken beaks attached to it, and a slender wooden carving of a man with a chicken hat that attaches to the top of a staff.
This feels like some bad juju voodoo.
While nobody else was taking it too seriously, Brandy found it legitimately off-putting. Brandy and Jared bought the locker for $900 and apparently made a profit on it. Of course, these weren't the only mystery bones that had been found in Storage Wars. In the Season 11 episode, By Arena, Daryl Sheets and his granddaughter Zoe sift through a locker that he purchased for $500. Along the way, we get to witness Daryl's profound gift for overpricing semi-functional junk, like even a generously described wine rack of $50 value. And then there's a box of surprisingly clean, individually wrapped animal skeletons.
That's a bird. You can tell by the beak right now.
Daryl and Zoe head to a natural history store called the Bone Room to try and price their finds. The store proprietor takes a look at 4 of the skeletons: a bat, a crow, a squirrel, and a snake. While Zoe finds it all delightfully cool and educational, Daryl isn't having quite as much fun.
It's a little morbid to me.
Oh, well.
The proprietor concludes that the animals were likely roadkill and had been stripped in a home job that wasn't quite as perfectly done as the official way, which would be using beetles to eat the flesh off. Ultimately, it was illegal to sell the bones because they're roadkill. We're guessing Daryl would have priced the set at $2 million.
I kind of want to puke.
Finding bones isn't anything new, it's just that they're not usually someone's uncle. In the show's first season episode, Skullduggery, Dave Hester climbs into another storage locker to dig out what's inside. He finds a framed map of the United States, some bins with clothes, some books, and a musical instrument case.
So this should be some kind of, holy.
Yes, that's a real human skull inside.
Hopefully it's not a unsolved mystery or anything like that.
Thankfully, Hester's fears were unfounded. The skull had hinges on it, and some bones had nylon strings running through them. The entire skeleton was perfectly clean, too, so it was probably used in a formal medical setting. That doesn't mean it wasn't a murder victim at some point, though. The ethics of the human bone trade are notoriously problematic for obvious reasons. The proprietor of the store where Hester took the skeleton appraised each bone individually, pricing the skull at $700, the hand at $300, the femur at $90, each vertebrae at $20, and so forth. The whole skeleton was valued at $1,670 against $1,350 for the locker.
One man's bones pays another man's bills.
You know what you totally don't need? All that extra blood in your body. At least that's what folks thought until the late 19th century. The idea was that illnesses arose from an imbalance of bodily fluids. In order to purge the body of bad mojo, maybe reduce a fever or get rid of a rash, sometimes you just had to get rid of some blood. And back in the first season of Storage Wars, Daryl Sheets discovered a medical bloodletting device built just for this purpose. Sheets found himself rummaging through another locker and discovered some records and a fog machine before unearthing a, quote, strange music box or something that turned out to be a medical bleeder from the mid-19th century. The device's use was deceptively simple. A doctor would have wielded it to cut a patient and let them bleed. Sheets wound up getting $500 for the bleeder, which is a pretty decent amount seeing as he paid $250 for the locker.